One. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Number One Leading Ladies, the podcast by ladies for ladies, where we build each other up instead of tear each other down. Today, we have someone really special on today. We have another one of my cohort members on cohort number 4 for the Get SH exclamation point T done. I'm trying to slow down my speaking. Our cohort, which is an accelerator. So today we get to talk to Danielle Brabson about her line of business. And Danielle, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm happy to be here and super excited to talk to you. But I am Danielle Brabson, and I founded a company called Golden Sky Naturals. And Golden Sky Naturals is an all-natural skin and body care company. So we focus on creating products that have minimal ingredients, but maximum impact.
Awesome. So we on the show cover a little bit about the real life as an entrepreneur, if you will, instead of what people think we do. So, in our cohort, obviously, we all kind of have some of the same, challenges. And there's obviously this point in time before we had our business up and going, and really when we were first starting it. So in our cohort, we're kind of a little bit past that point where we have some traction. So I want to kind of go backwards a little bit in time to where you were starting your business brand new for the first time. And a lot of entrepreneurs are looked at by other people as people that have freedom of time, they have flexibility, they can do what they want kind of thing. Reality is a little bit different, but really in the beginning, whether it's bootstrapping it to pay for your own business, to get it started, putting your first deal on a credit card, living with your mom, like whatever it was to get the business up and going. My question for you is, what were some of those initial struggles that were in the beginning that were normal to get your business up and going? And then what did it take to get past that and get to start seeing some traction?
Oh boy. So yes, we have bootstrapped our company. So we have no outside funding. It's all self-funded. And in the beginning, trying to balance. So I have 3 kids. So I have 3 kids. 2 are in high school. 1 is in elementary school. And when I started, they were all at home and at school. So I had to balance getting them to school and trying to, start my business. And I think I made so many mistakes. It was just crazy. I mean, it is, if anybody tells you that starting your own business is easy, I think they are full of shit. Excuse my language.
It's cool on the show.
Because I feel like I kept getting, oh, you are starting your own business from home and you work from home, so you have all this free time. Well, it doesn't really work that way. So now I have to balance doing all my actual work to get a company started and going, and then balance that with getting the kids to and from school, and then making sure they're doing all their shit, and then they have to go to bed, and then I have to do more stuff at night. So it was a challenge, and I don't know that I really answered your question.
Well, so I guess that's part of the challenges of balancing, I think. But then when you kind of found some kind of a balance, or maybe didn't, what was kind of your solution to keep going and to be able to get to seeing some traction? At some point, you said you make some mistakes. We all make mistakes. But then you're like, what did you do to fix those mistakes and then start getting to people, I guess, if your traction is people buying your product, to get there?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I guess once we really started getting out there and pushing more on like our social channels, so it was all about getting, in front of people. So my husband, who is our co-founder, he keeps telling me, okay, you always have to be selling. And so that was kind of a struggle for me because, I obviously I want you to buy my products, but I don't want to be that person that is always like, hey, have you tried my deodorant? Oh, you're sweating? Here, let me give you some deodorant. Oh, you wash your face? Oh, I can give you a product for that. So I really had to learn how to balance, selling in a, better way. So once we really started getting out and talking to people, and I got over that hump of, being able to talk about my company without being embarrassed that I was selling you something, it really became easier. And so then it was more of, we pushed a lot on social, and then a lot of, we did a lot of giveaways so that we could get product in people's hands so they could try it. And so that was really, once we got into that groove of really, connecting with our consumers, then we started to see traction.
Awesome. Did you guys ever do a focus group?
No, that was really just my friends, actually, who, when I started making products, and I was really just doing them for our family, but then, I had to make sure that it worked. And so I recruited my husband. He tested a lot of products. He's the reason we have sensitive deodorant, because it made his armpits all red and itchy. And so he was that guinea pig. But then it was asking other friends or close friends, hey, would you try this? And what did they like and what did they didn't like? And so really it wasn't at that point, it wasn't people we didn't know, it was people that I knew. And so it was picking those people that I knew would give me an honest answer.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Oh my God, this is just crap. And then I would be like, okay, well, then that obviously is not one that we're going to push out there if you're coming back at me with, I don't know what the fuck you were thinking with this. So that was helpful. But as far as like a true focus group of people we didn't know, we haven't done that. We have since done that with, surveys where we're reaching out to, because now our consumer base and customer base is so many people I don't know, which is awesome, that they have trusted us to provide them with skin and body care products that work. So now I have another opportunity to reach out to them to get their feedback. And hopefully and I think sometimes when you're dealing with consumers that you don't know, they're more apt to give you an honest answer. So I am always excited to get that feedback.
That's great to hear. And I think you're right. What would you say out of all of the social channels that you used in the beginning for your business model that worked the best?
Well, initially I actually thought it was going to be Facebook, but it's not. It's Instagram. And as embarrassing as this is for me to say, is it will actually, now we're venturing into TikTok. So as somebody who is, in her 40s, TikTok, I don't get it, but I understand that it is an important part of our younger consumer base. And so we want to meet them where they are. And if that means I have to do a silly dance while putting on deodorant, then I'll do it.
Okay, so you're on TikTok. I'll have to go find you. I got off of it just because I thought it was, how Instagram used to be there weren't all these algorithms, and it wasn't something that was so overused. I forget how to say it. Like now TikTok is like the open platform where, however I'm trying to describe this, that you're able to basically get higher rankings and more views and things like that aren't controlled by so many people that are providing ads or advertisers or whatnot. So I was into it, and then, all the stuff of Where's My Data Going came out, and then I actually, because my stuff is so boring, I'll have to watch yours to see how you do a dance or how you do stuff, because I'm learning by being in this cohort with everybody. I'm so in the weeds with like all of the numbers and the information about stuff that the average person's like, huh? And
right?
I feel like I'm trying to do my fiduciary duty to make sure people understand things, but sometimes it's just a snippet, and then when they're ready, they can take that path down that road, so I'll have to see what you do and try it out.
I think it's definitely a shorter time span. I mean, people, you're trying to stop their scroll. So that's the whole thing. And, I realize that, but sometimes putting that into practice is hard, because, you want to, probably much like you, I want to tell everybody about ingredients in their skincare, but after probably listening to me for 5 minutes drone on about ingredients, you're probably like, all right, I'm done with you.
Do you ever do things on there that are like more shock factor to get them to like stop the scroll?
No, well, that's in the plan. We haven't yet. So, there's not much out there. Well, we're just venturing into TikTok. So don't go out there and expect like, crazy
I mean,
crazy
there's all
amounts of
kinds of
videos.
things you could do. Like, you know, like the armpit looks like a butt if you get really close with your camera. Just saying, like, there's all
All
kinds of.
right, well, I'm gonna do but and then I'm gonna call you out on it. I'm gonna call you out on it.
Tag me in it. Yeah. Well, awesome. So that's great that we're actually talking about real parts of like what we're doing or what you did to get there and what worked for you, because of course everybody on the show, they all do different things, you know. So that's really great for somebody who is selling products. You know, for me, we don't really have like an actual physical product. It's kind of more of a service. So I wouldn't know how to answer that question. Some of the other things that we ask our guests on the show, and I'm trying to think what order I want to ask next. Probably what would be, if you, and you can answer this in any way you want to, what would be your biggest lesson?
My biggest lesson about starting a company, or
However you
just my
want it,
biggest lesson?
yeah.
Oh, oh, that's tough. Let's see. I guess my biggest lesson about starting a company is don't go into it thinking it's going to be easy. And also with that, go in with an open mind of all the things. There is going to be so many things you don't know, so you just have to keep going. So that is probably for starting a business. For my biggest lesson in life is actually, to quote Clark Griswold from Christmas Vacation, is embrace it's all part of the experience.
Yeah.
Because everything you do is all part of your life experience, and you should embrace that, even the sucky ones.
Yeah. So even embrace the suck.
Yes, embrace the suck.
Yeah. Well, that's some really good perspective, I think. I don't know if you've gone through this, you know, I think I've shared with the group a little bit that, you know, I've gone through some legal hassles and, or struggles, you know, with my business or parts of it. You know, we've got 7 deals and 1.5 of them are having issues, with the same person, you know, so, that stuff that it sucks so bad. But yeah, it's just like, gotta like say, well, it is what it is. I can't deny that it's not happening. And then what I've done is I've had to go to therapy and then basically compartmentalize my mind to where I deal with the legal stuff during the week. And if people are emailing me or harassing me on the weekends, I just don't respond. I wait until Monday because it's part of work, but I do have to embrace it and deal with it. But at the same time, you know, take care of myself.
You kind of, yeah, you need a break for sure.
Yeah, because it's so easy like to get, you know, pent up and respond to everything. But yeah, it's all part of the journey. You know, you can't get there any faster.
And that, I think you hit a good point, right? And you're surrounded by it all day long, every day. So I mean, it's on, like, my phone is my personal email, my work email, my personal Instagram, and our Golden Sky Instagram. So I mean, I am constant. I can't really ever get away from it unless I like go on vacation. But even then, it's kind of like, you're like, oh, what's happening? I hope everything's going okay. Is everything shipping on time? And, are there orders stacking up? Is what's happening? So it is hard. It is, kind of like what Alex says in there. It's your baby.
Right. Now, how do you feel about getting to the point, because I'm kind of to the point where I do enjoy traveling, and I'm realizing that even a simple, like going to the next state, like it doesn't really matter where I'm going or what the purpose is for. If I'm here for business, and realizing that, the real estate industry, this is just coming from my perspective, and some businesses don't have everything done in a smart way. So there are certain things that I have to sign in person when we do a closing on an apartment building. There are certain things that I have to make anyway. So
Right.
There's a way to have a team built and have the team ready for those types of transactions or things. Like, you can't be the only person to have everything fall on your lap. And I'm kind of in that position right now. I don't know if are you kind of past that point where you've scaled and where if you need to take care of business and take off, there's someone there to do it? So that would be probably.
No, not yet. Um, and only because, and that's kind of on us as well, because are we own our manufacturing part, so we don't. We do that part, so we can maintain our quality and and infuse our sustainability and through everything. So, and actually, I like that part. I actually love it, and I still do it. I still am part of making moisturizer, toner, or deodorant. I enjoy doing that, so we haven't given that up. But like when we do go on vacation, it's one of those things where we have to make sure, we run on a really lean inventory because we want our stuff to be as fresh as possible. So we generally don't have a lot just sitting on the shelf. And so we're running production runs all the time to stay, so that it's fresh and in the best state possible when the consumer gets it. So we have to make sure that we have enough to handle that when we're gone, and then obviously shipping can continue, but it just takes a little more planning on the front end, which is fine.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. That would be my biggest challenge. Well, what would you say, you told me your biggest lesson, what would you say would be your biggest win?
The biggest win, well, I think our biggest win, and one thing I didn't talk about before, as you mentioned your legal issues, is we actually had our own legal issues. We were a previous brand and then had to rebrand, not on our own, or not because we wanted to, because we were issued a cease and desist on our name in May of 2019. And so we had to rebrand. And so that kind of sucked because all the traction we had built up at that point had to stop because couldn't really do anything else. But at that point, before, our biggest win was we were ranked number 4 on Amazon for natural deodorant. So
wow,
that was pretty.
You can do it again. That's the biggest thing that I've learned when you get into this legal stuff, is that because you're always afraid of loss. You know what I mean? It's kind of the point, is someone wants to make you a loser of something, whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is, they're wanting you to lose something. And that's the fear. And so I've had to get really comfortable with the idea that, like, I may never be able to be in this industry anymore. I may never be able to do this anymore. And and then it's interesting as that has happened, and you, like you said earlier, you embrace it. You realize that there are things and people kind of coming out of the woodwork that have, they know you, and they know your ethics and your values and who you are, and they understand the situation and kind of reach out to help you, and may provide that why in the road, that you have an opportunity to even, like in my situation right now, to change the industry that I'm in, that I enjoy, but however, that looks like it will be like much more profitable, but still be able to do what I'm doing now, but basically have a ton of money to be able to do it by myself instead of having to, pool funds together and all kinds of different things. So, your mess is your business. When you go through stuff too, like, you really learn how tough you are. You learn how much resilience you have. So we're not alone. Now, Danielle, what would you say?
And I don't know if it's coming.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to hear what you had to say next.
The only thing I was going to say, and it probably is the same with you, is actually, now looking back, the cease and desist and having to rebrand was probably the best thing that could have happened for us, actually, because it allowed us to redo some of the things we didn't do right the first time. So it took a long time for me to accept that, because from about May to December of 2019, it was just awful. But looking back now, I'm happy it happened.
I would second that. Yeah. Like you said, embrace it. So, one thing now, when I'm going into business ventures, I'm very clear with everybody. Look, I'm not new to this. Like, this, and it's actually interesting and good. I think that it happened early on in my career, truly, to where I'm taking extra precautions and doing extra things now, where it's like,
Yeah.
I want legal involved from day one. I want contracts and things to be very clear day one. I want there to be a business plan no matter what we're doing day one. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you learn, because
Yep.
people tell you what to do. Like, people always say, like, have a business plan, but it's like, why? You don't really know why.
Right.
Because that's your roadmap to go back to if there's ever anyone questioning you, if there's ever anything going awry. It's like, well, here's what our plan was, and here's where it
Right.
veered off center, and then we have to go back to that point and fix that problem, and then we can get back on track. So I'm like, oh, now I know.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree. And the business plan is also good to help you. And I read somewhere it also is as a document to kind of make sure that you are ready for the business. So as you go through the business plan, which is a long and arduous process if you do it right, you're kind of selling yourself. You're making sure that you are in it. And so I like that approach, because you're selling your business plan. Okay, yeah, you can give it to somebody and say, here's what I'm going to do. But also for you to look back and say, okay, yeah, I can do this shit. I'm going. We're doing it.
Interesting perspective, because yeah, you're right. You kind of, like, I have had to so many times go back and re-reference that same initial document, and say, okay, you just need to go re-reference it, because, for example, in the beginning you'll say, like, here's my time frame of doing something, and then you'll say, here's how much it's going to cost, and here's so it's just really important, because sometimes if you may have someone, I don't know about you, but I squirrel, someone comes in, they're like, oh, I can beat that bid, or we can change the project, or we can do this over here. There's an intent behind the original plan that was there. So yeah, absolutely, I agree with having that wholeheartedly.
Yep. Got to do it.
Now, Danielle, what would you say, if you could give one piece of advice to somebody who wanted to sell products online that they made? So, for example, well, it doesn't matter, but something that they make and they know the ingredients, and maybe, like, for example, I know someone who makes nutrition bars. They started making it at home at first and then outsourced it and whatnot. But what would be the one piece of advice for somebody who is making, producing, and selling a product online?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is to know your market. I mean, a lot, we've talked about that in the cohort and the accelerator, but it is probably one of the biggest things you can do is really ask your market what they want before you create it. So I think sometimes we do it backwards. I mean, even I did it backwards.
Yeah.
What is the market wanting? What is it lacking? And then how do you solve that problem with your product? So if you can, that is the biggest thing. Know exactly what they're looking for, and then you can target those people and give them the messaging that they need to convert to your product.
Now, to get really, like, into detail and down in the weeds, how do you do that? If you're online and you're going, okay, you made a product, and so at some point you have to make, like, a minimum viable product. You have to have something for people to, like, look and taste and see, or something with it.
Right.
Once you have something and then people are starting to, like, what's that process look like? Do you post it online when it's like the first version of it and hope people buy, and then start doing website data tracking, and then look at your look at who's on your website and figure out what their demographics are, and then switch a product up compared to that? Like, how do you do that?
No, I mean, that's one way you can do it, but and you should always look at that data. But a good way to do it is actually look at who you think your competitors are and read all their reviews. So what are their products missing that you can capitalize on?
Bam! So, a golden ass nugget.
Yes. I mean, that is it. What are they missing? What are the pain points that those people are finding that company isn't doing or fixing for them, and then exploit the hell out of it?
Yes. Now, when you do that and you say, our product features this, for example, in your marketing, you'd want to put that out there first. How do you go about comparing it maybe to a competitor without, being involved in, like, not slander and not libel, but you know what I'm saying? And not defamation, but there's like negative things that you can say about other people that could, you know, come back at you. Like, how do you compare yourself without being negative, I guess?
Well, I guess you just want to highlight your differences.
Yeah.
So you could have like like if somebody was looking for, if somebody had a bar and they were looking for something that didn't have, you know, like soy protein in it, and one of their biggest competitors did. So why are people not looking for soy protein versus like a plant-based protein? So at that point, you're not really slandering them, because, you know, obviously there are a lot of people. You can't win everybody, and everybody can't be your customer. So there are going to be those customers that want soy, but there are going to be those customers that want plant-based. So at that point, your ad should be, are you looking, you know, more towards a plant-based, you know, protein, and then highlight all the ways that you're different without calling them out as negative against the other company.
I'm writing notes right now. This is so good. This is good. I know it's funny because that's something someone said not long ago with a different company, different thing, but just somebody called the company and all they did was talk trash about all the other competitors, and they ended up calling my friend Yona, and they were trying to kind of get it out of him, I guess, and ask him, well, what are these guys doing wrong and why should I go with you? And he never once said anything negative about the other person. However, you know, said what they did well. And then that ended up obviously giving them a lot of business, because they're like, look, if you're somebody who is talking trash about somebody else, because you have to, you know, like you said, highlight your differences, but if you're doing it in a negative trash talking way, the customer said, well, if you're going to do that to that person, you're going to do that to me. You're going to, yeah. So I was like,
yeah, that's not good karma. I mean, and that's not, I mean, I might talk that way, like within our team, you know, yeah, we're so much better than, you know, those people, but I don't know. I don't think that would be right as a business owner. And obviously that's kind of not the norm. I don't think as a business owner, it would not be fair for me to put somebody else's deodorant or facial cleanser down. Now, do I think my deodorant is better than somebody else's? Yeah, because I used that one and it didn't work.
So you had to fix the problem, yeah.
So I mean that there's that, but it doesn't mean that my deodorant, if somebody else uses somewhere like, let's say Native, and they love Native and they try ours and they love ours, well, that's great. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with Natives. You know, maybe there's just something different about our company or about our formula that they you know, like better.
Yeah, more notes. This is so good. Okay. Seriously.
Well, I'm glad I could help somebody.
Oh my God, you're going to help a lot of people. That's why I've been getting comments on our podcast recently where people are like, oh my God, thank you for this. Like, it's actually the real details of how people do things. So Danielle, thank you so much for being on our show today. We will see you soon in many other different forms, of course. But for now, I just would like, if you would, share your contact information or however you'd like any listeners or people that are watching this. How could they get a hold of you if they wanted to partner with you, work with you, anything like that?
Oh, well, I actually, so you could go to our website, which is goldenskynaturals.com, or you can send us an email and you can send it right to me. I actually love getting email from, you know, customers or potential customers that have questions, and I actually answer them all myself. So you can email me at Danielle, it's DANIELLE at goldenskynaturals.com. And follow us on Instagram. You know, you can send us a direct message through there, and I actually monitor all those too. So,
awesome. You know. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for being on the show today. I will see everybody, or shortly, I will see everybody on the show. #1 Leading Ladies. Thank everybody for tuning in today. I will see you soon.